I'll come back to part 15 of Remember Me for the finale. Now, immediately, let's see what happens when Charles gets traumatized.
You are really shitty, Dad. You know
I am
that?
a terrible.
Power of beer, ladies and gentlemen. Papa Nier has nothing on this guy.
Hey, still better father than Heihachi and Kazuya, especially Kazuya.
Honestly, it says something when the only reasonable parents in that entire family was Jinpachi.
Again, not for nothing, but I can't really concentrate on the dramatic moment of all those spinning images.
Queen to win. Anyway, don't worry, it's soft. Unfortunately, Charles is a very smart thinker, so when seeing Nilin, he will immediately connect the dots. Thankfully, we have a plan B. Please refrain to touch me, please.
No, Deji.
No, Deji, no.
What?
Well, I said that.
No, don't worry, that just was nothing.
So I sound like both Shiori and Deji now.
That is the weirdest combination I've ever heard.
Liv should just record an Ace Attorney pod on his own, and nobody would know the difference. Everyone would still be in the call.
Yeah.
The horrors I have dug up.
Just redo Turnabout Sisters, except now with dwarves.
Well, I'm doing
Yeah,
a justice at the moment, Deji, so...
Hell's Floor is made of good intention.
No, Charles. From the very beginning, it was a bad idea.
Thank you. So apparently Scylla is here. How did she manage to pass all those fucking leapers? I don't know. And she not only has very much remembered her true story, but she actually coped with it. And now is willing to cooperate with Nilin to stop all this.
There's a civil war out there, Charles. Fear, riots, pain.
Donkey!
Everything you set out to eliminate. It's our fault, Charles, and it has to stop.
We're nearly there. We must cut the flux relay at its source.
So once again, as mentioned, we need to disconnect the main server H3O.
To breach. Unless.
It is time.
Unless both you and I authorize access. Together.
Et voila.
There you go. He spoke French. It's totally a French game.
Wow. You speak... The one time you speak French and it's near the end of the game.
Turn, sis. To finish the job.
Okay, Ed, stop orgasming on the radio, please. It's very distracting.
Yeah, whoever Edge's actor is, was someone jerking him off while he was saying his lines?
It's kind of a male equivalent of when
It's Evolutio, you fucking
that one off
mispronunciation frog.
Georgia Van Quilberg, yeah. The actress who...
Barbarian porks without
In fact, let me see if she still has no career after that, because last time I checked she didn't.
The actress who orgasmed her way through...
Again, like I said, Wibbs, let me check before I say it.
Wait, are you talking? I didn't hear. Are you talking about Vanille's actress?
Yes, let me just quickly check.
If you don't know that Vanilla's voice actress in 513 has a very common tendency of sounding very, how should I say?
Well, to be fair, she was directed to do so, so...
I know, Square's fault.
I know,
Anyway,
but still, like, it sounds
Charles now is going to give us the rest of our memories, and we're going to use them as a remembrance of Nilin as a child to get our way into the server room in order to get to the main server and disconnect it.
Yeah, here we go. See, Wibbs, as you know, all of the main players of 13, now Troy Baker, Ali Hillis, Laura Bailey, all those people, they still have plenty of roles since those games. But guess what? Since the 13 trilogy, Quilberg only had 3 roles in 2 video games and now a movie. But that's it.
It's a shame because I think she has potential.
No, she does. It's just that, I mean, and from what I'm seeing here on IMDb, she's done plenty of work for good games. It's just that she was in Star Wars The Old Republic.
And guess what? The dialogue now starts glitching up. It's all these things. The stucking in the body, the deeper frozen, and now this. It's the first time it ever happened in any of my runs of this game. I don't know, but again, I'm keep theorizing when my PS3 is trying to tell me something, like stop or something.
Yeah. I think coming up is that.
Save it, Waves. Deji doesn't know.
I guess it's
No, I'm not talking about plot. I'm talking about that moment that really made me groan the first time I saw it.
I know.
Well,
Anyway,
Theo, what she's telling you, Theo, is that it's time to get a super slim, I guess.
Oh, for a second I thought you were going to say it's time to duel. I'm like, oh shit, we got Yu-Gi-Oh on this?
Yes, I have to challenge my own console to a children's card game.
And yet somehow the console would win.
Somehow, well, it's an AI, so it's probably programmed to cheat.
Just drink Red Bull, you'll be fine.
What?
I tried Red Bull. I didn't like it.
Me too. I mean, I understand why many people may enjoy it, but for my taste, I prefer very classic stuff like Coca-Cola.
If I wanted an energy drink, I'll just drink Lucozade.
You see
now this video is automatically a free publicity. I'm expecting my paycheck anytime soon.
You see, Deji, what's going to happen is Theo's going to start the card game, but unfortunately the PS3 has a deck with 3 living arrows, and he's going to so the PS3 is going to cheat the hell out of that duel.
And suddenly it brings out all 5 pieces of Exodia and all 3 Egyptian god cards at once.
No, trust me.
How did he do that?
Deji, you don't even need that with 3 living arrows in your deck. For those who don't know, the living arrow was basically a card that existed back in the early days of the anime. That was basically the game-breaking card. Every time the writers wanted to somehow get Yugi out of a jam, they would just come up with a random effect for that card, because every time Yugi uses that card, it has a completely different effect.
Yeah. Anyway, Dej, if you haven't paid attention, Edgy start acting a bit freaky. I guess he really is orgasming or something. And there we are, H3O.
And here I am. Back to where it all started.
Yes. It's here that you gave birth to me.
Don't you find the expression a little abusive, brother?
It's just a question of perspective. When did you figure it out?
Just now. Edge is H3O.
Boom! There's your twist, Deji. Apparently, your mission control was this server all along, but he genuinely wants to be killed, so it's not evil, per se. He just has that same complex that Orphan has in Final Fantasy 14, and he cannot self-terminate for some reason. So he needs an external agent, and that's why he founded the Ares movement, to select a champion that will come here and deactivate him personally. He basically was just selecting the strongest of all. And Nilin, ironically, fit the job perfectly.
You must kill me.
And if I don't want to?
There is no choice, sister. I will force you to.
Oh, what are you gonna do? Tentacle rape with cables or something? Just be thankful that Nilin is actually willing to fight.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
Not really, Dweebs. That's just the way Nilin is gonna be connected to H3O.
Everything is connected.
Well, in this case, yes, because we're servers and shit. Here we go. Yeah, that transition could have been done better. And here we are, final boss time. Any time now. There it is. There it is.
So now we're fighting.
The grotesque queen from Drakengard, maybe.
We're fighting Slenderman's faithful cousin.
He's too fat to be Slender Man.
I'd say Voldemort, but this guy has a nose.
True.
I don't want to fight you.
Maybe it's his Patronus. So.
So there was no edge.
Stop poking me with your finger.
But you are an heiress, sworn to bring an end to the ravages of Sensen. I am H3O. I am Sensen. I am the Leapers. Kill us.
Alright, first let me explain how it works. First, we need to... H3O will make black cubes appear, and we'll need to destroy them using the Tiger power-ups, the Focus power-up. Otherwise, we cannot destroy them. After we destroy the certain amount of time, it will create a cluster, which we'll need to destroy using the Spammer. Then we'll be able to attack H3O directly. Do it 3 times, and you're good. Now on to his motivation, to give you an understanding. This H3O we're facing is a self-manifestation of the server itself. Now, how did this happen? Well, apparently, as he mentioned, when Nilin was a kid, she used to came on the server room a lot of time, and she found her way pretty quickly. So she decided to connect with the central server, which was H3O itself, and share her thoughts and everything. However, H3O knew the truth about the incident because, remember, despite being remixed or deleted, the memories are still stored in the servers, so H3O knew everything, and consequently, he started feeling pain. So imagine an entity that can feel pain getting a flux of memories constantly, of bad memories from people who want to discard them. That will make everyone go insane. So that's pretty much his motivation for wanting to be deleted itself, because pretty much it's another product of Charles' madness that just went out of control. Go ahead, Lives.
So let me get this straight. He's fed up of everything, so he wants to die, and he goes through all that trouble to pick someone, make him go through a series of tests or whatever to be the one to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he making it harder for us now?
Again, he cannot being a complete rogue AI, he cannot self-terminate, and at the same time, he has a survival instinct. That's what he's basically doing wrong. Again, it's kind of like Orphan in Final Fantasy 13, but done a bit better, if you ask me.
But that'd be like the equivalent of someone. But that'd be like the equivalent of someone who wants you to shoot them to end their misery, but they keep dodging the bullets.
Again, Dweebs, it's a conflict derived from the instinctive nature of the conscience itself. Your rationality, it's all about psychology, Dweebs. Your rationality wants you to commit this action, but your instinct, the ID, wants to prevent it at all costs for the sake of the preservation of your own life. That's kind of what gives you doubt if you want to jump off a cliff or something.
Honestly, I'd have thought his instinct would have been dead a long time ago.
Well, that's the thing, Liz. It's an AI that learned to have a conscience. What do you expect? Anyway, for this second phase,
logically, because
you have
AI.
to use the rust in peace. That's exactly the point, Wibbs. It's just another representation of the whole fallacy of the sensing system.
I want someone to kill me. I know. I'll throw enemies at them.
No, Dweebs, they're necessary for us to use for the enemy, for the black cube, because in this second phase we need to have use the rust in pieces power up to possess the shooting drum, so they can shoot the cube since it's way too up ahead. There we go, and we just need to. And for some reason the camera started going blur for all the movement. I understand if you may not find these particular plot point likable, but it's perfectly logical in its own rules.
I got it, Tio. The reason behind the weird camera movements.
What?
It was directed by.
Oh yeah, it's a Paranormal Activity movie.
No. I was just gonna say no. Even worse. I was gonna say it was directed by the guy who did Alex Cross. Basically,
which one?
Alex Cross. It's that film with some of the worst fight scenes I've ever seen.
Worse than Ballistic?
Yeah, because at the very least, Chaos has the decency to keep everything to make sure you can actually see what's going on in the fights. Rob Cohen, on the other hand, with Alex Cross, mostly due to the fact that Tyler Perry is not a good fighter at all. He just shakes the camera everywhere, like you're on a boat on the roughest sea ever, so you can't make heads or tails of what's happening.
What about you, Deji? What do you think about this whole situation? I guess he's BRB.
Nah, I had to name myself. It's weird.
I understand that you haven't seen the whole game, so you cannot have a proper judgment, but from what you seem to find from what they told you.
It seems like the whole why you have to fight him. Yeah, that makes sense. Because it's not because bad writing, it's because he just can't do it on his own. It's kind of like Yu Yu Hakusho in the Dark Tournament. Oh my god, I'm sorry I referenced that shit.
No, to give context with the Edge. Oh no, the Dark Tournament is the second saga. I got confused with the last saga, which gets interrupted abruptly for no reason other than the Alfor being a lazy asshole.
Hey, why do you think Hunter x Hunter keeps getting on hiatus? Well,
some things never die, apparently.
To be fair, he really does had health problems and stuff.
No, I understand, but don't start something that you know you cannot finish. I know that Shonen Jump's editors are assholes and we will force any authors to continue doing stuff ad eternum. I mean, they managed to convince Akira Toriyama one way or the other to continue Dragon Ball. The only one who's enjoying this is obviously Araki, because he loves to continue his JoJo's stories no matter what happens.
And he seems like he has hormone powers because he doesn't look that old.
Yes.
He's 50-something and he looks like he's in his early 30s.
Well, Dweebs, that's the magic for you. Sorry, sorry. With the names. God damn it.
What about Oda from One Piece?
Eiichiro Oda. I appreciate the fact that he's incredibly good at respecting his schedule. He still managed to pump up a single chapter every week for almost an entire year. He takes rarely breaks. However, I actually dropped One Piece at some point because I thought the story was getting a bit stale. I dropped it, as I told you, at the Punk Hazard story arc. But I know that recently it got better, so I may want to try to give it a second chance. The one I will not giving even a first chance is obviously Kishimoto. Because that guy cannot write for shit to save his life.
No, he can. He just... it's really... The reason why JoJo and One Piece have been consistently good all that long is because...
So basically, Tio, Mario...
It's because they just focus on the characters instead of thinking of the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. One of the final arcs of Naruto is exactly bringing back to life all the dead characters, including my fan favorite, Zabuza, and they do absolutely almost nothing with it. Anyway, time to finish this.
So basically, we were being insulted by Nintendo's Mario 64's floating head's cousin.
Well, he has a torso, so... If it was, to be extremely fair, if it was just a head and a pair of hands, it would have been more in tune with Nintendo.
Odyssey has a boss fight like that.
No, I got
we'll see.
Actually, if it was just a head Tio, if it was just a head Tio, the main enemy would be Tong Xiaoping.
Anyway, there we go. Time to finish this by hacking the sense and obvious representation of a trio.
What shall I use to destroy the threat once and for all? I know, I'll ram acting lessons down his throat.
Superhero pose. Bless you, Nilin. I know that you're trying really hard, and I still won in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, but you're trying too hard.
No.
Yeah, exactly, Reeves, in order to emphasize slow motion.
Yeah.
It wasn't your fault, sister. Finish me. Now.
Finish him.
Yeah. Do-do-do.
Does Street Fighter have an equivalent quote?
No.
Damn.
Sorry.
Go with it. In a few seconds, my memories will be returned.
I'm sure we will cause no problems at all.
Adieu.
There you go. He said adieu. He's totally a French character.
I get so only near the end of the game do they realise, oh shit, this game's set in
And
France.
now time to the finale, which I really don't like how it's structured, because at first it's a CG cutscene, so you clearly see the difference now. But the problem is, yeah, it tells us what we know, but the visuals, because it's using Nili's subconscious, it still leaves a lot of things open. What happened to the supporting characters of Tommy and Olga? What happened to Nilin's parents? What's happening outside in the world? But of course, it's a sequel bait.
Everyone died.
I mean, again, I wouldn't mind a sequel, but there are better ways to transition from one title to the next.
Yeah.
And since it's a new IP, you can't really rely on sequel bait because you never know what's gonna happen.
This is the equivalent of what Mr. Enter said about shows getting a second season before actually airing. You don't have to assume everything. Or anyway, the only good thing about this cutscene, aside from, well, Canny Valley aside, is the fact that Nilin is pretty much making peace with her inner child. It's a visual representation of that.
My legacy.
Sorry, Pedro, no Buster Swords.
Life, I remember exactly who I am. Outside my fortress, I now have to go back
Outside my fortress? Do you think this is...
to confront.
She mentioned before that, to paraphrase a phrase, a mind is like a fortress.
So what would the sequel have been about? We go to Neo Rome?
Probably still centered on Paris, but mostly maybe around the world and trying to fix everyone's mind,
I'll
or at
never-
least the major key figures.
I will always remember me.
And it's over, pretty much. Yeah, now we're getting the credits. So, time for the final thoughts. Sorry, Jacques Mucchielli, but I guess at the end of the day, your product did not turn out what it was supposed to be originally. Anyway, Dad, since you technically know the list and you are at least the freshest of us, go ahead. From what you've seen so far, what do you think?
It seems like an interesting concept for a story. The whole messing with memories thing, I do like that idea.
All right.
From what I've seen, like gameplay-wise, it looks like it could use a few improvements. I know that's the vaguest criticism ever.
Sure,
because
no,
anything
I
can...
Don't worry, it
understand.
might not be just as vague, if not vague.
I understand. You're done then?
Yeah.
Alright, Fade Weebs, go next.
Yeah, honestly, this really wasn't all that interesting, to be honest. It doesn't really look like anything I want to play or watch. Well, I watched it now, but I probably wouldn't play this one, so overall, meh.
I understand. Go ahead, Shiroi.
Well, as one of the only people among us who actually knew about this long before getting to this, I've always been interested from the get-go. It's just looking at it now, it's a shame the execution wasn't as good, but I'd still probably play it regardless.
As I mentioned in another part, Shiro, if you wanna get it, well, I don't know how powerful is your PC, but try the PC version because it's probably the one that has the better frame rate and the less glitches.
Okay.
Anyway, Pedro, go next, I guess.
I've already explained that it's kind of hard for me to care for Nilin and her backstory and the overall thing because they didn't bother to actually develop any of these characters. But of course, the other big problem, of course, is that this game has some really good ideas in its story. The problem is that the game doesn't seem to know what to do with those ideas. It just kind of moseys along and doesn't actually bother to actually explore the concepts it claims to have. and like it needed the game is constantly acting smart and all, you know, convinced that it's this really interesting thing, but it's not, because the game doesn't really do a good doesn't really explore anything. It's just kind of moving along. Characters say stuff, but they don't actually mean anything. It's a pretty shallow game plot-wise when you get right down to it, because it basically masks its simplicity with a lot of pretty words, you know, and tries to sound as complicated as possible. But when you actually get to the nitty-gritty of it, there's nothing here. Like, the game does, like I said, the game has great ideas, but it has no idea how to explore them. No idea whatsoever. So they figured, okay, let's just have the characters talk in this really complicated exposition, so that that somehow equals clever.
Not to mention some of the acting is pretty bad.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's. I don't know if I go as far as to say it's bad. It's just that I think the problem is that the actors don't have that much to work with. And like I said, this game needed to either, not to mention, this is Dontnod's first game, right?
Yeah, it was.
I think they should have. I think for the sake of some positive feedback, they should have tried something simpler at first. I think they were a bit too ambitious for their own good with this game, because they were complete.
As you mentioned, in true French developer tradition, apparently.
Yeah, this is a problem with French developers in general. Go ahead, Deji.
Cool. Have they made anything besides this?
Life is Strange.
Life is Strange.
Strange.
Okay.
Well, that game has its own. I have my own problems with that game, but again, I'll bring it up eventually. But the point is, yeah, I think for the sake of positivity, they should have tried something simpler, a simpler story that's a little bit more character driven and with simpler themes, something that's a bit easier to grasp. Because I think they should, they aimed for the sky and they fell flat on their face. But okay, that's the plot though. Gameplay wise, it's passable. I think like the combat system is fine. I think it's just that. And the action set and the Uncharted style set pieces look really good, look really fun. So yeah, that's cool. But outside of that, the game doesn't really have a hook. You know, something that's really unique to it. Like yeah, it has. Yeah, true. It's true that Nilin uses those those hologram thingies that she has on her hands to open doors and solve puzzles and stuff like that. But when you get right down to it, that still doesn't really equal any kind of particularly unique gimmick. I think this game should have at least, this game needed to find some kind of gimmick that really made it stand out more. Or
maybe focused much more on the memory remixing thing.
Probably, yeah. Considering the memory remixing thing, and fun fact, they would later kind of reuse that in Life is Strange.
Yeah, that's what I was preparing to mention in my final thoughts. I can see that the fact that in the remixing sequence seemed to be a prototype for what they will eventually do in Life is Strange.
They should have focused more on that, because the whole memory remixing thing is criminally underutilized. Like we only use it mostly for flashback stuff, and it wouldn't have been so cool if it would be like in Life is Strange, where we do that kind of as a focus.
For example, the first memory mixing, the one with Olga and the one with the mayor, are actually good in that way, because they also help to establish the character that we haven't seen before.
Anyway, this is not. I don't think the game is bad. It's decent. It's just that the game doesn't and again, even if it didn't have a unique gimmick, it still could have been a really great game if it executed its concepts really well. The problem is that it didn't really. I mean, there's nothing here that this game has that we cannot get from better games. So it's just kind of a game that exists. This is a game that's obscure, and considering the fact that Capcom pretty much forgets that this game even exists, this game will most likely just fall completely under obscurity in 20 years from now.
Anyway, I guess I'll leave it on.
Go ahead.
Alright. To me, aside also from what Pedro mentioned, more than a lack of focus, to me this game also seemed to be unfinished. Now, I can imagine it may be to the lack of budget, to the rush development, or the very troubled development that this game has. I forgot if I mentioned either in one of the previous parts or more recently, one of these last ones. But Dontnod was searching for a publisher for a while. They didn't have one for pitching this game, and they had a lot of trouble because, and this is true, I can probably may put a link in the description maybe. The developers, the publisher they contacted, I think they were Activision or Ubisoft. I cannot drop names because I don't know. I don't want to incriminate anyone particularly. Didn't want to publish the game because there was a female protagonist, and they thought it wouldn't have sold well because of it. And eventually, Capcom was the only one who actually sided with them. But at that point, they still had very little time to finish the game, and their budget was already limited to begin with. So I can imagine it was because of that this game turned out the way it is. But to quote what Some Call Me Johnny said about Sonic 06, I unfortunately have to judge the game as it was presented to me. As it was presented to me, while I still enjoy it personally, I cannot deny that it's pretty much a mess. Because story-wise, character introduced and quickly forgotten. I mean, Tommy and Olga appears only like 2 scenes, barely, and then we just vanish completely. There's a lot more focus I get on the Cartier-Wells family, and that's good, but this still leaves also the rush finale. If in case you'll notice, as I mentioned, Scylla just comes in out of nowhere, having survived apparently all those sleepers in the way, and apparently she's just good now, despite her being a bitch all the time. Charles, on the other hand, never learns his lesson, he just accepts things as they are because other people told him to. And H3, the only thing I understand is also H3O wanting to self-terminate, but physically couldn't managing to do, and having to resort to an external source which could cause havoc and everything. And again, as the concept, as a homage to Total Recall and Blade Runner, it's actually cool. As I mentioned, the presentation to me is amazing. I know Dweebs doesn't like the soundtrack because of the remix, or doesn't seem to mix well, ironically. But to me, which I actually appreciate, combine that with the presentation of the graphical style and the backgrounds, which are almost one-on-one with the concept art, it's amazing to look at this game. And it just makes it more sad that this is wasted with all these aspects that detract from the final product. Gameplay-wise, I'm fine, because it's, again, it's the Godhead combat system, which could have been done better, but the customization makes it go smoother, and the Street Fighter references are also fine, nice to me. But yeah, as mentioned, the memory mixing sequence should have been done more. Even other reviewers who reviewed this game mentioned that it should have been more than 4. And again, one of these is pretty much doing again what the third one was. So pretty much we're still, it's like 3.5, and it just wants you demanding more. And of course, again, for the Rush landing, sequel baiting all the way. And as you may have forgot, but as I mentioned, there's a whole background stuff around the entire world, which is told through the data log system, which I didn't bother to show you, because one, the font is criminally thin, even for us that can see well, Shiroi, and second, they're just wall text of stuff that happens in the war and tell nonsense things, including a war between Russia and Canada. What the fuck? And compared to that, the screenplay in Quantum Break was sane in comparison. But again, despite all these things, I have enjoyed the game for what it was worth. It's not worth like $60. The $60 was at launch, because honestly, again, with all these problems. But thanks to the fact that I managed to get it on a sale, I had to enjoy it with minimal effort. So that's what I'm suggesting to you. If you ever plan to happen to see this game on a Steam Summer Sale, for example, or a PlayStation Network sale, go get it and give it a try. It's also easy to platinum, so if you're a completionist with all the trophies and shit, it's gonna be bread for your teeth. But anyway, that's pretty much it for me, and I guess for all of us. So see you for, well, either the hypothetical never ever sequel that this was made alongside Dr. Otrek 2, or eventually when we finish his Life is Strange. See ya.
See ya.
See ya.